Today's lesson is converting fractions into decimals. The essential question: how can we use what we know about division to help us convert fractions into decimals? Division as a fraction. Division problems can also be written as fractions. 2/3 is the same as 2 divided by 3. 5/8 is the same as 5 divided by 8. And 9/10 is the same as 9 divided by 10. We use the terms neato, numerator in, denominator out, and TIBO, top in, bottom out, to show how to divide fractions, to show how to divide when given a fraction. So 2/3, 2 would be the dividend going in the house, and 3 would be out of the house as the divisor. The top portion of a fraction is also known as the blank. The bottom portion of a fraction is also known as the blank. Write the words numerator and denominator in the correct spaces below, being that this is a division symbol.
Write 7/8 as a decimal. And so the main realization here is that 7/8 is the same thing as 7 divided by 8, which is the same thing as 7 divided by 8. These are all the same way or different ways of writing the same thing. So let's actually divide 8 into 7, and I'll do it down here just so I have some more real estate to work with. I'm going to divide 8 into 7, and I'm going to add a decimal point here just because we know that this value is going to be less than 1. 7/8 is less than 1. We're going to have some digits beyond or to the right of the decimal point, and let me put the decimal point right up here, right above the decimal point in 7, and then we start dividing. And now this really turns into a long division problem, and we just have to make sure we keep track of the decimal sign. So 8 doesn't go into 7 at all, but it does go into 7t. So 8 goes into 7t 8 times. So it goes into 7t. It goes into 7t 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. And then you subtract. 70 minus 64 is 6. And then bring down another 0 because we still have a remainder. We want to get to the point that we have no remainders, assuming that this thing doesn't repeat forever. And then there's other ways we can deal with that. 8 goes into 60. Well, let's see. 8. It doesn't go to it 8 times because that's 64. 8 goes into 67 times. 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. 56. And then we subtract again. 60 minus 56 is 4. And now we can bring down another 0 right over here. And 8 goes into 40. Well, it goes into 40 exactly 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. And we have nothing. We have nothing left over. And so we're done. 7 divided by 8, or 7/8 is equal to 7 divided by 8, which is equal to 0.875. But I'll put a leading 0 here just so it makes it clear that this is where the decimal is. 0.875. And we are done.
What is 3/5 written in decimal form? Just work that out on your paper. Which number has a greater value, 3/4 or 4/10? Converting mixed fractions to decimals.
Okay, so now we have talked about how to change fractions into decimals. And we're going to do the same thing here with these mixed numbers. And remember, from last time, our directions said convert this to a decimal, round to the nearest thousandth if necessary. So that means we want to round this to 3 decimal places if we need to. Okay, looking at this problem, 2 7/8, the whole number part here, the 2, is exactly that in the decimal. It is the whole number part. So this will be 2 and then we have our decimal part will be equivalent to the fractional part. So really, the only thing we have to convert is this fraction of 7/8. So if we do the division, 7 divided by 8, well, the decimal naturally falls behind the 7, so we're going to line those up. 8 will not go into 7, so we're going to have to add a 0. 8 will go into 70, though, 8 times. 8 times 8 would be 64. And when we subtract, we would get a 6. Now remember, we're supposed to go to 3 decimal places, so we're not done. We need to keep adding zeros and keep going. So 8 will go into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 would be 56. When we subtract, we get 4. So now we need to keep going. We can add another 0 so that we can have that to drop down. 8 will go into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 would be 40. So now we have no more remainder. We're done. So this would be 2.875 in its decimal form. All right, let's try another one here. Here we have 6 1/3. So again, 6 being the whole number part will be the exact same thing in the decimal equivalent. It will be the whole number part, the part to the left of the decimal. So the only thing really we need to convert is the 1/3. So let's do the division. 1 divided by 3. And we're going to put our decimal right behind the 1 where it occurs. Now 3 will not go into 1, so we have to add a 0. 3 will go into 1 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. When we do the subtraction, we get a 1. Now remember, it said we're supposed to round to the nearest thousandth, so we have to keep going. So I'm going to add a 0. 3 will go into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. When we subtract, we get 1. Can you see that this is going to continue going this way forever and ever and ever? Absolutely it will. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. And we keep going. Now notice that I'm going to just go this one more time. 3 will go into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 would be 9. Now I could keep going forever and ever and ever. But it said that if it was necessary, we were going to round to the nearest thousandth place. Well, the thousandth place is right here. So in order to round, we had to go one place more than that. This determines whether we round up or leave it alone. So because this is 4 or less, then that tells us we're going to leave this number alone. So rounded to the nearest thousandth, 6 1/3, as written as a decimal, would be 6.33.
When converting a mixed fraction into a decimal, the whole number in front of the fraction portion will always be in blank of the decimal once we have converted it. Convert 2 1/4 into a decimal. Converting improper fractions into decimals. Improper fractions are fractions whose numerator has a greater value than its denominator. When we use needle to convert an improper fraction, we will always have a whole number before the decimal. What is the equivalent decimal value of 7.8?